Hold on. Nathan, quiet. Hey, everybody. Tonight we're debating flat Earth versus globe Earth, and we are starting right now. With TJump's opening statement on behalf of the globe, Tom, thanks for being with us. The floor is all yours.
Thanks, James. Thanks, Nathan, for being here. Appreciate the opportunity as always. So we know for a fact the world is a globe because we've been to space and we can see it. But that, of course, doesn't convince the flat earthers because they want something that they themselves can confirm, which we can also provide because there's this thing called radar. Radar is this magical technology that we've invented that can tell distances and speeds and locations and sizes of things that are far away. And the way it does that is it bounces radio waves, it emits them from an emitter, and it hits something and then it bounces back. And we just literally count the time it takes to go from the object it bounces off of to the receiver and back. And we know how far away it is and what shape it is based off of how the radio waves bounce off of the thing. And guess what? We can do this for things in space too. Like you yourself can go buy a ham radio, and if you spend enough money, you can buy one that can bounce radio signals off of the moon. You can communicate with people on the other side of the planet by bouncing radio signals off of the moon. We know exactly how far the way the moon is, 280 something thousand, I think was the number, miles, exactly as said by, ooh, I got an echo there. Exactly as said by NASA, which means it's in space. Like there's no dome there. We know for a fact there's no dome there because the radio waves don't bounce off it. So we can measure the size of the moon, the shape of the moon, the distance of the moon. We know it's in space. We know that the radio waves don't. Oh, I'm still hearing an echo. Are you hearing it too, James?
Yes, I am. Nathan, you don't have the watch page on, do you?
Thank you.
He's muted. No, I'm not watching, but I'll go on mute for you.
So we can know that the moon is in space. We know it's up there. We know the distances. All the things NASA says are correct. We know all of these facts that we as individuals can confirm that what NASA says is correct. The speed of light, for example, we can also measure the speed of light because that's literally what radio waves are. Is they're using the radio waves, which move at the speed of light, to measure things, and we can prove this. It's very simple. We did this in the 1800s, the 1700s, the 1900s, and pretty much every other hundreds because it's really easy to do. And so we can measure lots of different things using these radio waves that you yourself can go build in your backyard to communicate with people on the other side of the planet. And you can know where they're located because they can tell you, or you could build one for your friend's house and your house and then calculate the distance and the shape of the planet by communicating with them in the direction you have to point the waves and the way they reflect and how they communicate with other people. You can triangulate the directions. So we know the world is a globe, and you yourself can prove this. Any human being can prove this, which is why flurfs are so dumb, because anyone can prove this, anyone. And flurfs have no idea what they're talking about. Now I'll conclude there.
Bell, Nathan, thanks for being here. The floor is all yours. You're on mute.
Starting it off with, an honest man, when proven to be wrong, must either admit that he is wrong or he no longer remains to be an honest man. Churchill was famous for saying this: malice will try and attack it, calling me flurfs, we're too dumb to figure it out, and ignorance will try and deride it. I never wanted to be a flat earther, ladies and gentlemen. I laughed at the idea of the earth being flat when it was introduced to me. And then a mentor of mine, someone who's really intelligent, was looking into it for 7 months. And I almost dropped the phone when he told me that, because he was so intelligent. I thought, there's no way this guy could be looking into flat earth for 7 months. And here I am 5 years later. I ran a research group with 150,000 people where we asked globers to post first-hand evidence that the earth is a spinning ball in space. TJump had no first-hand evidence. He said, we could build, you could build, you haven't done it. And he acts like it's so easy to just go build things in your backyard and bounce radar waves off the moon. Well, if it's so easy, bro, how come you haven't done it to confirm your model yet? So on top of that, massive amounts of ostracism, being a flat earther, as you saw here in TJump's opening. But also, I don't want all the world governments lying to me about the shape of the earth. We'll start with fluid statics. Fluid statics are large bodies of water at rest, the study of them. Fluid dynamics is bodies of water in motion. So when you look at a body of water at rest, the surface of the body of water is flat and horizontal to the container, requires a container. A spinning ball is not a container. Every time you put water on a ball and spin it, the water flies off. That's observable. That's reality. Okay. That's repeatable. That's testable. That's science. So also you have to hold a compass flat for it to work. The Suez Canal has 0 locks, 0 curvature, and it's over 100 miles. You've got the Statue of Liberty being observed from over 60 miles. Ladies and gentlemen, we see way too far. The horizon is flat. Even PhD astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson will tell you there is no curve at 128,000 feet. Red Bull Jump proved the Earth's flat and not curving, but the Earth didn't rotate under Felix Baumgartner when he ascended for 3 hours. Specular reflections. The incident angle of the light matches the reflection angle of the light. If you go to a house of mirrors at a circus, anytime there is distortion or curvature in the surface of a mirror, there will be some sort of distortion in the image. Gyroscopes keep their rigidity in space. Ladies and gentlemen, we would not use gyroscopes in an airplane to fly level if a gyroscope was curving around a ball. Airplanes admit in their FAA documents that the Earth's flat, non-rotating, and they do not account for gravity vector. But the people who train the pilots, the Federal Aviation Administration, says the Earth is flat, non-rotating, and they negate a gravity vector. On top of that, you've got microwave repeaters. And last but not least, we've got the black swan. We've done observations at 1 foot where the horizon is over 10 miles out. The globe Earth has been falsified already. I'm honestly here as a favor to James doing this debate. So on top of that, Earth doesn't move, ladies and gentlemen, period. Doesn't move. Mainstream science asserts the Earth has a Coriolis and objects in the air experience Earth rotating under them. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a hummingbird or a helicopter, a hot air balloon, a drone, a ball you throw in the air, or maybe a golf ball you hit off the tee. The Earth does not rotate under anything. Can't have gas pressure without a container. High pressure systems move towards low pressure systems. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. If it didn't happen all the time, it wouldn't be a law. Now, if you put your hand on a hot stove, it will burn you 100 out of 100 times. If you pop a car tire and the tire has air in it, the air is going to escape into the space around the tire 100 out of 100 times. Okay, it's the second law of thermodynamics. So you cannot have gas pressure, which we are all breathing at the moment, 14.7 psi at the surface, without the necessary antecedent of a container of some sort. Now, very convenient for me, not so much for TJump, the sky is a map and a clock. We've got 88 constellations. Polaris never moves. We can do astroarchaeology, which I've actually filmed myself. I went to the Georgia Guidestones about 3 months ago, and they deleted my last channel, Nathan Thompson, and they deleted the official Flat Earth and Globe discussions. You can lay on your back January 1st, observe the stars. 6 months later, lay on your back in the same place at night and observe the stars. Now, let's pretend for a second that my head is the sun, right? So nighttime would be over there towards the kitchen, okay? Now, 6 months later, the globe would be on this side of the sun and nighttime would be over there towards the neighbor's house. If that was happening, you would not observe the same stars every 6 months. He talks about radar systems he's never built. Then he says we can do this with things in space. Then he assumes the moon is in space. He kept repeating over and over, we can trust everything NASA says. NASA claims that the moon isn't in space, it's in Earth's atmosphere.
Well, actually, I have built one of these, so I have done it personally, which just debunks all of what Nathan said.
Oh.
We build them. Oh my God, we do it, Nathan, and you can too. This is really easy. It's called a ham radio. Do you know what a ham radio is?
In your opener, you said everything NASA tells us is true.
Nathan, listen to the words. So I said, we can confirm many of the things NASA says. That's the atmosphere, just a bunch of gas sitting on top of each other.
You said, TJump, that we could do this with things in space, and then talked about
space.
TJump, can you stop interrupting me, please?
Well, I'm curious. What did I say?
Moderator.
We could do in space?
Nathan, continue on.
And he interrupts me.
Go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, what I wanted to say was, we can do this with things in space, is what TJump said. And then he said they bounced the radar off the moon. Did you know NASA says the moon is not in space?
No, they
It's
don't.
in Earth's atmosphere.
No, they don't. The atmosphere is
Yes,
also
they
in
do.
space. So
The atmosphere is space.
in space, yes. Earth, the whole thing is in space.
Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and Google what NASA says, because they just debunked everything TJump said. Where we
Well,
can
actually,
bounce
it's
things
my
off.
turn. It's my turn to ask a
TJump,
question.
you gonna interrupt me again?
My turn.
Let's let Nathan finish his point or
Well,
sentence.
Well, no, he did. He asked a question. I answered the
Hold
question.
on.
So
We're
now it's my
gonna
turn.
give Nathan a chance to finish his sentence.
NASA asserts the moon isn't in space. TJump said we can bounce radar off things in space, and then says he bounces it off the moon, which NASA says isn't even in space.
Yes. So the moon is in space. Yes, that is. It is also in the atmosphere. Those are not contradictory things. This is not hard. Nathan just doesn't understand astrophysics. So again, my question was, how does radar work, Nathan? Can we bounce radar off things? Is radar a pretty accurate tool we can use here on Earth?
So the moon is in space, but it's also in Earth's atmosphere. Is that what you're saying, TJump?
Yeah, it's also in the solar system. Can you answer my question, Nathan? How does radar work?
Wait. So you understand that space is a vacuum and the atmosphere is pressurized. So how are you saying that the atmosphere is space and space is the atmosphere and the moon is in space and the moon is in Earth's atmosphere? That doesn't make any
The
sense.
space has to do with a certain density of the atmosphere. If there's a low enough density, then you're in space. Remember, Nathan, I had the positive position here. That's why you had me go first. You specifically said Tom is holding the positive that the world is a globe, which means you have to address my arguments, not the other way around, Nathan.
Yes, radar is real, TJump. I don't specialize in radar. So is it okay if we move on to another topic?
No.
It's the horizon, the geometric curve of the Earth.
Wait, so I presented an argument that proves the world is round. I didn't say anything about the horizon. I don't care about the horizon because I can prove it in this way. I don't need to prove it in every way.
You're not showing me you doing anything, TJump. Do you ever get off your clam couch?
No, I live on the clam couch. So Nathan, I presented an argument or evidence that it proves the world is round. So if you can't refute that evidence, then I have won the debate. I've proved the world is round.
TJump.
So saying I don't have video of me doing it personally, like I can get video of me doing it personally. Is that what you would require? If I have video of me doing it personally, does that mean I win? Because I can get it.
TJump, you haven't shown anything. Please don't interrupt me. I'm a dumb flirt.
Remember, I have the positive position here, so I present evidence, and you have to counter that evidence. So if you're just admitting that I'm right,
You're just going to go round and round moderator. He keeps
Nathan,
repeating
now,
himself,
Nathan,
and then I have to repeat myself.
you're interrupting me now, Nathan.
but you haven't actually
All right, great.
addressed my evidence. Are you saying that it's false because you haven't seen me do it?
TJump obviously hasn't tested the Earth himself or done any of this. TJump, what were the numbers?
Where is the problem in this chain of reasoning, Nathan? Go ahead.
Okay, are you done asking questions? Because you asked like 10 questions at once, and I don't know when you're done. So are you done? Moderator, are you familiar with what a burden of proof reversal fallacy is?
I think people oftentimes overuse the term fallacy, and it's not what I'm into. But I understand like flipping the burden of proof, like.
Okay, so when he says you can do the test, that is a perfect poster child stereotype example for burden of proof reversal fallacy, where TJump, he blindly believes people on YouTube he doesn't have any of the numbers for, hasn't verified it, and then tells me, Nate, it's super easy.
The reason I'm using this example is because the flirts, I don't mean that as a pejorative. If it is, I apologize. The flat earthers claim that they want an example of something that they themselves can do. So I'm giving you an example of something you yourself can do because that's what you asked for in every single debate. You want something that you can do. So I'm giving you something that you can do that's relatively cheap. You can rent one for a lot less than 10,000 if you need money. You can ask Red's Rhetoric. He will give you the money to test this for yourself. So the reason I'm giving you something that you can do is because that's what you ask for in every debate, Nathan. I'm not trying to shift the burden of proof here. I've given you the evidence. I've given you the methodology. I've given you the external evidence, the videos where you can literally see the calculations and how they do this themselves. They have it available. But that's not what you care about. You never care about those things because you don't trust them. You want something you can test yourself, and that's what I provided you.
We're going to move on from that burden of proof reversal fallacy that TJump doesn't know the numbers for. We're going to move on to the next topic, TJump. Are you ready?
I didn't present any other evidence, so I don't know why you're bringing up other evidence. Like, you have to refute what I said. Like, if there is
I'm not allowed to bring up evidence?
Right, because I did, remember, I'm the one bringing up the positive case. You saying you don't like that isn't a counter argument. So you'd have to show there's some philosophical error in the methodology I used here. Saying that I didn't present the numbers, Red's rhetoric is present the numbers to you a number of times. You don't accept the numbers. So it's a waste of time for me to present the numbers to you. But what I can do is I can tell you how you can test this for yourself, which is literally what you asked for in every video. So unless you can show there's some philosophical problem with using radar to measure the distance of the moon and then to triangulate the size of the Earth and the shape of the Earth, if you think that's impossible or you think there's some kind of problem with that, then that would be a good counter argument to present. If radar works exactly how we think radar works, and we can use radar off the moon, which is demonstrably true, then it's pretty easy to know you could calculate the shape of the Earth doing this, because it's how radar works. Like, do you think radar doesn't work?
Can you hear us, Nathan?
Are you done, bro?
What?
I think he said
Hey,
he's
he
done,
just keeps
bro.
asking me if I don't think radar works. James, Jay Tolan, who has 20,000 subscribers, said he became a flat earther looking at data from radar because he was getting information working for the government that would debunk the globe model, guys. Very sensitive information. He literally couldn't even put on his YouTube. But so radar doesn't prove you live on a globe. You have no evidence. First, you said you didn't know the numbers. You didn't need to give them to me. Then you said Red Rhetoric has given them to me numerous times. I just dismissed the numbers. Okay, so you don't know the numbers. So don't say I dismissed the numbers. I'm asking you what the numbers are. So, James, can we move to another topic, please?
I'm open.
Otherwise, I'm done. I'm done.
If you guys want to move to another topic, we can.
Well, again, my topic.
Great. I got 10 more.
So my
I got
argument
10 more.
isn't about the numbers. It's about the philosophical methodology here. Are you saying that radar doesn't work? Because if radar works, if we can bounce radar off the moon.
Moderator, he's going back to the same topic.
Let's give him a chance, and we'll talk about that later.
So my argument is that if radar works in the way that we know it works, and if we can bounce radar off the moon, and if triangulation works, we can then use those three things to calculate the shape of the Earth. The question is do you think any of those methodologies, radar, bouncing radar off the moon, or triangulation, are any of those false? Are any of those, because if they're not, then we've already proven that the world is round, and you can confirm this yourself. So the question is do you think any of those are false? Yes or no?
James, are we moving on to the next topic now? This is not your turn to talk, TJump.
If you don't want to answer, that's okay. We can go to the next topic.
I've already answered it.
Nope.
Bro.
I'm not moving forward until
yes, radar works. You haven't given us any numbers that prove bouncing radar off the moon proves the surface of Earth curves in all directions. So, since this is a flat versus globe debate, I'd like to talk after 45 minutes about the surface of Earth. Can we talk about the surface of Earth? James?
Sure. Wait. So my question was,
it's not T-Jump's not your turn.
Hold on.
James,
all right. So,
are we moving on to
hold
the
on.
next topic?
Nathan, quiet.
Those are the last two are the things I'm looking for. Can we bounce radar off the moon, or does he think we can't? And does radar triangulation work? Those are the two things I'm looking for here.
Is the horizon the curve of the Earth?
I don't know what that means. Is the horizon the curve of the Earth? Those are two different things. The horizon is where the atmosphere in the sky meets the Earth when you can see it. The curve of the Earth is something significantly more complicated than that.
Okay, so what you're saying is when we look at the horizon, that's not the geometric curve of the Earth.
Right. It's just your eyes. It's the way your eyes interpret stuff.
Why stars twinkle on the heliocentric model?
What do you mean by twinkle?
Twinkle, twinkle, little star. How come Jupiter doesn't twinkle?
Jupiter isn't emitting light.
When I look at it with my P1000, it sure looks like a light. When we observe a sunset, does the sun light up the entire horizon, or is the light from the sun small and localized?
The entire horizon, I would imagine.
Oh, really? The entire horizon is lit up after the sun sets. That's interesting.
After the sun sets?
Or during a sunset. You think the sun illuminates the entire horizon left to right equally? Are you serious? Have you ever looked at a sunset, bro? Do you ever leave that couch?
Yes. So the sunset is literally the shadow of the sun where it stops emitting light is the entire point of the horizon. So obviously, like, where you're standing could affect the shape of the sunset. Like if you're standing on the horizon, you could actually watch it move. Like the shadow could come and pass you. But it would, if you were standing perpendicular to it, yeah, it would light up the whole horizon.
Okay, well, that's not what we observe. Anyone can observe that. It's local light illumination, similar to Vegas off in the distance. When the sun sets, it doesn't illuminate the entire horizon. The sun is not bigger than Earth. It's small and localized. That's why we have crepuscular rays. TJump, I'm curious, are sun rays parallel or are they converging?
What do you mean?
When the sun rays hit the Earth, are they parallel to one another or are they converging?
It's a wave. It's light. So they're waves.
They're waves. Are they traveling in straight lines parallel to one another, like Aristophanes said with his well experiment?
Waves.
Or are they converging?
So they're waves. They don't.
Waves don't travel in straight lines.
Yes.
Okay, so light from the sun is not parallel. Aristophanes didn't prove the Earth's a ball. Is that what you're saying?
I have no idea what you're asking.
Because he says they were parallel. Aristophanes asserted sun rays are parallel.
Okay, I don't understand how this is relevant to the topic. Like what? Why are you saying that? Like, yes, you
he
can
allegedly measured.
Go ahead.
He allegedly measured the Earth 2,000 years ago. You haven't heard of
Yes.
Aristophanes?
Yes. What does this have to do with light being a wave or a particle?
You're the one talking about waves and particles, bro. I just asked you if they're parallel or converging, TJump, and you keep changing the topic, diverting, rambling, asking 10 questions at a time without stopping and letting me answer, and then interrupting me.
So whether or not light is a wave or a particle doesn't change the effectiveness of Aristophanes' experiments.
The thermosphere is 4,000 degrees. They can't send metal that melts at 100 and something degrees Celsius through a 4,000 degree medium. You just told me when you move away from a fire, it gets colder and that the sun is hot.
Yes.
But the airplane moved closer to the sun and the airplane got cold.
The atmosphere, there's nothing there to get hot, so there's nothing there to radiate heat, so it's cold.
Because you said earlier that the sun was hot, and then I asked you, when you move away from something that's hot, do you get hotter or colder? And you said colder. Then when I said, when you go in the airplane, how hot or cold is it? And you said, very cold. He tested moonlight with a FLIR, which picks up a heat signature, and verified, now this guy's a globehead. He verified moonlight is measurably cold, colder than the shade.
It's dumb to say that the moonlight itself is colder. Like, no, the moonlight itself is not colder. The moonlight is just light, and it can heat things up if it has energy, and if it doesn't have energy, it can't heat things up. I'm still not seeing how this is relevant to the topic. Is this just random fact week?
If the rays are hitting the moon and heating the moon up, moonlight wouldn't be measurably cold. You could test it with a FLIR or a laser thermometer. Ken Wheeler's a globehead, and he verified this for us. I've also tested it myself. It was on my old YouTube channel that got deleted.
Yes, this is an explained phenomenon that we know about in science. That's very easy to explain. And you're just bringing up random facts that don't have anything to do with the topic.
Well, that was a cool burden of proof reversal fallacy. Why are you talking in the middle of me talking, bro? Again.
Well, there's no such thing as a burden of proof reversal fallacy. There's a burden of proof fallacy.
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Hey!
Oh, yeah, mostly what you just said is just delusional. So again, like I presented evidence. You just said you're ignorant of it. You can't prove it. You're not an expert.
All right, Nathan,
so,
you got to let him finish.
So you, if you don't understand it, that's up to you. You should go research it and understand it, since it proves your worldview false. And you bringing up random facts that don't in any way have anything to do with what I said isn't evidence against what I said. And yeah, I literally explained all these things to you. So if you don't understand them, that's your problem. Like I don't care. Like none of this is really complicated, and none of it in any way is evidence for the world being flat.
Yeah, I know you're confused. 1 out of 100 people would even listen to what the hell I'm saying. Now it's like 1 in 5 people, 1 in 10 people are already flat earthers. Come on.
This one coming in from Pancake of Destiny says, your fellow flat earther proved the rotation of the earth, Nathan. Why do you disagree? Hashtag thanks, Bob.
Sagnac interferometer. He said it was actually the vortex of the ether causing the deviation in the light. Now, if you're going to claim you know more than the guy who invented the interferometer, that's a cool story, bro. But I'm going to go with Sagnac. Also, Bob doesn't claim he proved rotation. Bob knows what's up. You're literally just making stuff up, and you're scientifically illiterate.
King024 says, Nathan, please give a detailed explanation of what electromagnetic wake is. Please try better than, quote, Google is your friend, bruh.
Yeah, of course. Well, this is in relation to why hurricanes spin in opposite directions. Now, all you got to do is like take a beer that's got foam on the top, and you pour it down the side of your glass, and the foam will spin in opposite directions. It's a property of fluid dynamics. Now, as the sun traverses around the equator, above the equator, between the tropics, it obviously affects particles in the air and the ground, heats it up. So there would be sort of a wake behind the sun, similar to how when a boat is traveling through water and one side of the wake goes to the left and the other side of the wake goes to the right. Now, hopefully you're happy with that. And all you globeheads that don't understand electromagnetic wakes can stop asking me about it.
This
You're
one
welcome.
coming in from Tim Pryor says, imagine that. No flat earth proof once again. Just talking about the globe and cherry picking quotes from people that don't claim that the earth is flat.
But ladies and gentlemen, Globers don't want evidence or facts. They just want to blindly believe someone else did the science. You can do it too, which was TJump's entire argument, this entire debate, a burden of proof reversal.
Tim Pryor says, except that our star charts have shown Polaris to move, Nathan. They say love how he's been told this, but keeps repeating the same stuff.
What are you talking about, bro? I went and filmed Polaris through a hole in the Georgia Guidestones, which they built 40 years ago. And the stars still line up to the pyramids, which were built 2,000 years ago, Orion's belt. So you have no clue what you're talking about, bro. You're literally just making stuff up. Our star charts, our religious doctrine, our paper says, look, Polaris moves. No, it doesn't. I've been doing time lapses for 5 years. Not only has NASA been caught thousands of times faking space, it violates the second law of thermodynamics, but the sky is a map and a clock. Polaris, astroarchaeology, 88 constellations. I mean, you want to blindly believe that we're blasting through the Milky Way universe at 500,000 miles an hour while gravity pulls everything together, and you can't prove that we have stellar parallax, it's constellations, and a pole star that lines up with rocks in Georgia?
Tim Pryor says that's a lie. NASA does not say the moon is in our atmosphere. They say the same of our atmosphere reaches to the moon. Stop cherry picking the article and read the whole thing, Nathan. Question the Answers says, this is for you, Tom, $6.3 million a day and $265,000 an hour NASA gets from us. That alone is disgusting. Anyone who stops ridiculing and seeks truth sees this.
Scientific institutions should get more money from us. What's disgusting is the fact that CEOs and companies get significantly more than that. Like NASA only gets like 2% of the federal budget or something very small. So, or 0.2%, 0.2% of the federal budget. So it's really not like we should give more money to science, because that's why everything works. If we were using flat earth logic, we would still be in the Stone Age. So the whole point here is that we should be giving money to science, and it's disgusting that we don't give more, not that we are giving some to it.
To the globe fundies that say the Earth's atmosphere doesn't extend beyond the moon, well, here from the ESA, Earth's atmosphere stretches out to the moon. Earth's atmosphere stretches out to the moon and beyond.
Kang024 says, Nathan, TJump is correct. A simple Google search debunks the last 5 years of your claims.
I just wanted to add real quick. I found NASA's definition of space, which is 12 miles below the Kármán line, 62 miles above sea level, which means the moon is in space.
Globers have to redefine flat and say it means curved, and redefine level and say it means curved, because that's literally what McToon did in his argument with my friend Latter-day Saints. TJump will literally say the moon's in space, but then say the moon's in the atmosphere also, like at the same time, in the same breath. So it's just kind of frustrating when you're just debating liars, like blatant liars.
Tim Pryor says, Nathan and all flat earthers demand proof that Earth is a globe when all the information is at their fingertips. Simply ask for measurements of flatness and you'll hear crickets. Nathan, is this true? Coming in from, do appreciate your question, Tim Pryor says, Nathan, where are your numbers? Where's the math showing your measurements like you asked for from Tom? Earth is flat? What about your double standard?
Just talk about fluid statics. The surface of water is level and horizontal to its container. Globers have to redefine the word level and say it doesn't mean what it means, flat. It means curved. That's stupid.
Gotcha. And Sheeple's Phoenix says, no one in Flat Earth can explain what cast the shadow onto the moon during the recent total lunar eclipse. Can Nathan explain, if not the Earth, then what did cast the shadow onto the moon during the eclipse?
Not only did the alleged shadow change directions mid-eclipse, it came in at 3 o'clock and left at like noon, which happens on almost every single eclipse. Well, you can't predict eclipses on a heliocentric model.
So they're asking, like, do you have an alternative that they're looking for?
Yeah, it's not a shadow. I talked to AronRa on here for like 15 minutes and he ran away.
So you gave me neither a model nor a map. Okay, you meet neither of the criteria.
Draw Manning a model. Oh, you're going to leave?
James, I set up the criteria that he had to produce both.
You're going to leave?
He had to produce a model and a map. And I said that if he failed to produce either one of them, then he would not meet the criteria.
Why are you
here? So now
here?
he's saying that I was going to allow that I can get him to describe his model using his map. He won't do that. Now he's telling me that he won't even side with the map he sent me. No, he's got nothing. He failed the minimum criteria. I agreed I would not come on this show unless he produced both. He's produced neither. I'm gone.
I have nothing.
You have nothing. Argument. That's correct. If you don't have a model that shows predictions that you can verify, then you've got butt kiss. Nothing.
Fallacy. It's a reification fallacy. Look how triggered you are.
No.
Why can't we talk about science, Aaron? Why can't we talk about empirical evidence?
I can, but I'm not. I made this arrangement with James. I put minimum criteria on here. This jackass failed both.
Nathan, would it be fair? Would you concede that you don't have those things, or would you actually argue you do?
I don't subscribe to a model. He does.
Yep, I'm out.
I don't subscribe to a map either. I'm not a cartographer. Those are not my arguments that I have a map. My arguments are the Earth doesn't curve, it doesn't spin, and we can't have gas pressure without a container. Now, Aaron, if you don't want to talk about any of my points, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Oh yeah, but if you have to have a point first. You have to have both a model and a map. You have neither. You have nothing.
Falsification is independent of replacement.
Sorry, you have to have something to falsify. You presented nothing.
Your model that says we spin 1,040 miles an hour.
Yeah, I can prove that using your map, and I can show that. But you're not going to because you came here unprepared, sir.
You can prove we spin using my flat stationary map.
Yep. He accused me in one of his previous presentations of being a Coriolis denier while expressing how he does not know what the fuck Coriolis is. And it's amazing that his description was so goddamn ignorant, yet he was criticizing me and saying that I was a denialist because he doesn't know what the fuck it is. Citing the Coriolis many, many times, and he doesn't know what the fuck it is? No, I'm not platforming this asshole anymore. He came with nothing. And you were supposed to guarantee that he would have both or I'm out. And now he's saying that the thing he sent me, he didn't send me. And he's not going to stand by it. No, fuck him.
I just didn't say it was
He's got nothing falsifiable. He's got nothing testable. We've literally got nothing to talk about.
Well, you're the one running away. I still have to talk about second law of thermodynamics and the Coriolis.
The fuck you know about that?
Now you're interrupting me.
Okay, hold on one second.
I know you're triggered.
So why don't we do this?
See, all he can do then is insult me and lie about me, and that's it. He doesn't have a model. He doesn't have a map. He doesn't have anything falsifiable. All he can do is the argument from incredulity, where he tries to show how he doesn't understand something so that he thinks he can put me on the defensive. No, if he's going to be arguing a scientific position, and this is not a religious position like he lies to make it out to be, it's a scientific position, which means he has to bring a theory that accounts for all of the data better. And that theory had better been able to make predictions that we can verify. He's got nothing. So he's literally nothing to talk about. We have nothing to debate about.